powerful thought. Control. Who is controlling whom? Both Nectanebus and Alexander had fulfilled their fate. And Nectanebus had died in vindication of his astrology. It's a very serious thing here, what we're dealing with. Astrologers no longer control births, but we still seek answers to why we are born. It's a totally different thing to understand. Why we become who we are is different than saying we know who we are. And I would urge anybody new to astrology to get all sense of control and destiny and fate and all of these things out of their systems before they are blinded. Because what happens is you become so very, very confined to rules that you just can't imagine how strict they can be. And what happens is your own personal art form of living and observation, that dimension is just not utilized. And you don't grow. You don't make relationships, as we're going to see as I put all this together. You don't reach out and touch somebody. You are a stale magician sitting in a back room with a conical hat. Carl Weschke, the president of Llewellyn Publications, is here at UAC this fine weekend. And he goes way back to when astrologers were just starting to meet together. And we had breakfast this morning, and he said, Noel, do you realize I used to go to those first early conventions, and astrologers weren't even talking to each other because they're secrets. You know, the one person knew one set of controlling mechanisms, and the other knew one set of controlling mechanisms. And as I came into this room, this steam bath here in Turkey, for this talk, this discussion, I was told that, boy, that was heated in there. They were all talking about different systems of astrology. Well, I can understand that on the technical ground, but you understand what I'm saying. One isn't better as a control than another. Get it out of your system. When astrology is linked to a sense of personal destiny too rigidly, it becomes a belief system. It's well known around here lately in modern astrology that astrology is not something to believe in, it's something to know about. And if you say that at the cocktail party, when somebody comes up to you, here is that answer. And they say, well, you're an astrologer. Well, you know all about me then, don't you? Ha, 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 ha. All you have to say is, no, I don't think so. I wouldn't presume so. Well, then what's astrology do anyway? And you simply say, well, it's, first of all, not something to believe in. It's something to know about. I kid you not. If you just say that right up front somewhere, you're not going to have any trouble at all talking about astrology and doing good in the world, helping others help themselves and informing them. I mean, I am almost as tall as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I weigh a little less than the fridge. And that's why nobody bothers me about astrology. Now, nobody bothers me about astrology because I think I present it humanistically and with some dignity. Astrology simply cannot control. It reveals how things are. And that relaxes the anxiety that our unknowing world has about a field that is still very young in its awareness. Am I making sense to you? I hope so. Am I? Veterans, am I okay? Am I making some sense? Amalia? Okay. Jan? There are some veterans in here. I better sharpen up here. Okay. Let's share some thoughts now about values. Oh no. One more major thought about control. Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes Hermes, the man who owns that scarf factory in Paris. Hermes was the thrice blessed teaching principal, perhaps a person in Egypt who had a lot to do with Mycenae or Mycenae or however you pronounce it. Well, nobody knows. Thank you. There is no way to corroborate his existence that I know of except one reference to a tomb in Mycenae or Mycenae. But Hermes permeates old astrological rationalization. Every book you open says, as above, so below. And we've talked about this in another lecture if you were with me. I have to allude to it here because it's important for this videotaping. On the tabula smaragdina, this emerald tablet that Thoth, or Hermes, kept, had 13 dicta. And one of them dealt with something that sounded like as above, so below. But it wasn't that. It was what is below is because of what is above, and what is above is because of what is below, which shows us a reciprocity, a give and take. I mean, if I set off a whole lot of atom bombs down here, it's going to affect up there. If something's going on up there, which we don't know about, which we try to capture and with love and grace and reverence in astrology, and it's supposedly affecting us down here, it's a two-way street. But you see, it became truncated, and they started saying, as above, so below, which means, boom, that's controlling me. See, it's incomplete information, and it's not a humanistic, a lack of humanistic thought processes that causes these dilemmas. And so society is still afraid of us, and what we have to do is eschew, avoid, control thoughts. So we can do better as individual practitioners, and we can reach out and touch people with grace and effect, and we can earn our role and identity within society. Thoughts about some values. Why you study astrology will change as you learn astrology. A fascinating thing for which I am personally very grateful because it relieves boredom as I see myself growing and being enriched by the astrological process. I am enriched by the process of becoming an astrologer continuously. One time a client was leaving my office, and I remember this dramatically. And the young man placed the check on my desk as he was ready to leave, and I walked with him to the front door. We're standing there and shaking hands, and we'd had a very emotional time together, and it was a very difficult session. And he looked at me and he said, Mr. Tyl, Noel, what do you get out of this? What do you really get? It's not the money. What is it? A moment's thought. I said, well, I'm enriched by sharing a life the way we did today. And I had 4 more before you. And tomorrow I have 6. And he went away, and I thought about that. Goodness gracious. I have taken in so much learning from my situations that I've been privy to be helpful somehow. Think what I have learned to become. I can change my whole life through what I've done in astrology. Make sense? What a nice thing to look forward to. It's so far away from having a rule book and gaining control of every situation in the world. It's something of value for sure. I feel that you're going to find sooner or later, hopefully sooner, that you're closer to a miracle than you are to a set of rules. Look at the world of meanings that are placed upon us in astrology. Now, every student and every professional sometimes has to be reminded